Today we are going to talk about one of my favorite genres, poetry. I love to both read and write poems. So I know that you have a lot of experience, probably since you were in pre-K, kindergarten, reading and writing poetry. So I'm going to show you a little trick that when you are reading, it's going to help you understand a poem better, but you can also think about it when you're writing poetry to help your audience. Okay, so one of the things that I do is I create mental pictures in my head. I can make a movie or I can just think of it as like a still picture. And I do this so that I remember the poem and I understand it better. So let me tell you the steps that I go through and then we'll try it out. So as I read it, I stop and close my eyes and try to create either that moving picture, that movie, or like a snapshot, like a photograph in my head. I read some more, close my eyes, do the same. I can then, when I get to the end, reread it again, see if any of my pictures change in my mind, or I could add to the pictures that are in my mind. And then the last thing I have to do is I have to ask myself, how did those pictures help me understand the poem better? Okay, so let's try it out. I have a poem here and I'm going to show you how I thought through it. I have some of my pictures already created. And then when you're working later on today, you can create mental pictures as well. Okay, so I have the poem written, so you can read it here as I'm reading it. Loving the World and Everything in It by Marjorie Wentworth. Each day I walk out onto the damp grass before the sun has spoken because I love the world and the miracle of morning. So I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to think about those words the poet used, and I'm going to create a picture. I love to stand beside the old oak trees beneath a symphony of birdsong and listen to every perfect note. Okay, I'm going to do it again. Close my eyes. I can see the trees and the birds, and I can hear them singing, them tweeting. While the wind passes around me like a warm sea, sometimes a feather drifts down into my hands. I hold it and imagine flying. Okay, one last time. I'm going to close my eyes. And I can almost feel the breeze coming past me. And then this feather drops down into my hands. Okay, so poets, I'm going to read it again. You all close your eyes. Try to create a mental picture as we go. Loving the World and Everything in It by Marjorie Wentworth. Each day I walk out onto the damp grass before the sun has spoken, because I love the world and the miracle of morning. I love to stand beside the old oak trees beneath a symphony of birdsong and listen to every perfect note, while the wind passes around me like a warm sea. Sometimes a feather drifts down into my hands. I hold it and imagine flying. Okay, open your eyes. And then let me show you what I was imagining. You can even compare it to what you were imagining when I read it. So when I read that first stanza, and it talked about going out into the damp grass before the sun has spoken, I love that image, before the sun rises. So it almost gives it like a personification, like a person speaking, but it's really the sun. So I drew that. And I just have, can you see my person? And it's still dark out and the sun is back. You can almost see the sun. Hasn't spoken yet. She's out in the damp grass. So I'm going to take that and I am going to put it up with that stanza. That's the picture I had in my head. And then the second stanza is talking about standing by the oak trees and hearing the birds sing their songs. So can you see what I had, the image I had in my head? See, she's next to the old oak trees. There's the birds up in the tree. Do you see that? That's the picture I had. How does it compare to what you were thinking? Okay, I'm gonna put that right next to that stanza. And then the last stanza, I love the last stanza. I love where it says, the wind passes around me like a warm sea. So here's what I was thinking. It's like the wind, but it also looks almost like a river or water, okay? And there she is, here comes the feather, and she's thinking about flying. That's the picture I had. What picture did you have in your mind? Okay, I'm gonna get that up there next to that stanza. Okay. So readers, anytime that you are reading a poem, you can do this too. You can create that mental image in your mind, and then you think to yourself, what do I know about this poem? How did that help me understand it? So to me, it helps me understand how the author feels about being out in nature, how important it is for this author to be out there, outside, in the grass, near the trees, the birds. They almost feel like they give life to the poet. I can tell how important they are. Okay? So you're gonna create that mental picture and then ask yourself, how did that help me understand the poem? So later today, when you are reading a poem, you could draw like we did in your reader's notebook. You could also, if someone's in the house with you, you could turn and talk to them about what you're seeing. You could describe it. But then you can also think, when you're writing poetry, what kind of mental image do I want to create for my readers? Okay. Enjoy the genre. Keep reading. Keep writing.